Hello and welcome to Budget Model Railways. And we're working on another little layout now. I know people have a giggle at my expense because I work on so many things, but my other ones come along quite well. And actually, what I was trying to achieve a long time ago is to see how small I could make an N gauge layout, a really good one that would still give you some operating potential. So I've actually copied here a fairly common track plan, but it's one I've used a couple of times successfully in double O, which is basically just 3 points. So you have a line in, a siding, and a head shunt. But I'm going right back to the double O layout I did, which I think was the one for beginners, where it's what you put in this that gives you the flexibility. So although this is a head shunt, by putting something at the end where a wagon goes, there's room to get a loco there, but if I want to put anything bigger in, I can move that out of the way. So that's one siding that's got work. I can then use that for passengers, have a platform there potentially, or you could put another small goods shed and give you another goods wagon that can be unloaded. And then obviously you've got your goods siding down here, and I'm going to have a loading dock there. Now, the big thing then is a very common idea with tunnel mouth here, retaining wall or hillside here, so that your little fiddle yard is over the back out of the way. And then what I'm trying to achieve is it's all being on one board. So with the other N gauge one I did recently, that's what's made a big difference. It's light and portable. I literally put it down, plug in the controller and run trains. I don't want to have a separate fiddle yard, which is what I have to tend to do with double O. Now, I've got options here, so it'd be very interesting to see what people think. I'm just going to run a train along here. No, I'm not, because it's gonna fall over. So I might go if I can get my glamorous assistant to do that. There we go. I think we've got a derailed wagon at the end. And that also shows you something I'm playing with, which is personalising some wagons and coaches to go with my freelance. So that's one of our 3D printed bodies on a little Kato chassis there. Because I'm going to do this one diesel so that I don't have to put catenary masts in. Oh, so I didn't give you the size. So the size is 2.5 feet, so that's 30 inches by 6 inches. So that's a relatively compact little layout, a little bit longer, but it does give us the ability then to have a fiddle yard. Now that's 2.5 feet by half a foot, which would have to be 5 feet by a foot in double O. And I've made a lot of those, and they're a little ungainly if you've got limited space. So it does give us the ability to do quite a lot of shunting operationally. Where I'm a little bit stuck is I don't want to do, because I'm doing freelance, I don't want to do the classic UK. So though I have got this very nice Pico goods shed there, they're a wonderful little kit. I've got options for stations, so that's one of the Hornby ones that I picked up cheap from Classic Rail, and I put a different roof on. That's a little hall building that I've made out of cardboard using a laser cutter. Some doors and windows from Mark in America, thank you. I've got the Gauge Master Kestrel building there with the back cut off and repainted. And I've got a couple of interesting Metcalfe buildings on order. So I've got a couple of options. The quickest and easiest is to do the classic countryside. Hills, trees. Would look quite nice, but I do that a lot. And it's one of these problems of, do I make for other people or do I make for me? So do I make because it'll make a video, or do I make it for me? I'd quite like to do a town scene, little terminus station, but that's a little bit more problematic in this space. There isn't a lot of room to get particularly Metcalfe low relief buildings, and frankly I don't want to use the Metcalfe. They're a bit big and everybody uses them, but I'm not used yet to scratch building it in. I was going to do the country scene, but I get a little bit prototypical in that a small country station would not be having a lot of traffic. So you can run the traffic and enjoy it, but you really need a town. So what I'm toying with now is the idea of perhaps putting it as a town scene, which would justify more, or something that I've done twice in double O, which is a factory scene. So we put a factory building there. We put a factory in here, which is where the train comes out from behind, and we have a little station. And that then gives you more excuse for traffic, because you'd have a lot more goods traffic, people coming into the factory. And the idea is that the factory is part of a town, and therefore you've got more traffic. But again, I'm back to, I don't want to use Metcalfe buildings necessarily, although I do like their new ramshackle workshop. and I'm not that confident yet in scratch building in N. So we're off on holiday soon anyway, so or at least I am. And so what I want to do is I'm going to think on this while I'm away, and then see what the options are. Our usual controller there, which works it fine. So we are still with N, but it gives you ideas for 00. As I say, I've built several of these in 00, so you can just copy the track plan and do it in 00. But I am getting really won over by N. For me at the moment, if you take our aims with budget model railways, to do railways cheaply, simply, conveniently, if you use Kato chassis and the pocket line locos, if you use Pico wagon kits, Pico track, Gauge Master buildings, you've got the ability to do a railway, very useful little railway, in a small space for very little money. So that, at the moment, compared to the issues in 00, new Hornby locos being in excess of £200, which means that second-hand 00 now, it's not unusual to see people trying to get £50, £60 for an 040 or an 060. Coach is up to £20 second-hand. It's now looking difficult and to do 00 cheaply. And for me, it's a question of space. So many people we see at the show and have commented, I don't have the space, I don't have the space. And obviously with N, you do. I mean, if I just show you, I'll try and pan so that you don't lose it. But that's the N-Gauge one we exhibited on its end, tucked in a corner. It's a full layout, and you've seen it before, but it's got really nice scenic layout there. It's got its own fiddle yard and everything. And when I'm not making models, it sits straight on my bench. And you simply can't do that with 00. That layout would be 6 feet by 3 feet in 00. Because always remember the size of a baseboard in 00 is 4 times N, not twice N. It's twice as long and twice as wide. And so that's why at the moment we are in a bit of an N groove. Now, for those of you that like 00, my aim is once we get holidays, ACF camp, hopefully, and things like that out of the way, later in the summer, is to get back in the shed, clear the shed because it's got a bit cluttered, and crack on with the 00 shed layout. For the moment, it's easier for me to do N, and N is nearer what we're trying to achieve in many ways with budget model railways at the moment. But keep with us. Also, I know we're doing a few reviews of bits of tech, but that's because people are very kindly sending it to Doug to review. And it does give us the opportunity to review tech, which at some point will become very cheap. If you think of 3D printers, what was £250 plus is now £100. So some of the tech might not be budget at the moment, but that tech is going to come down in price. So bear with us with those. And then a little one, Doug's just reminded me here. Doug used the laser cutter to mark out my wagon box. So this is the one I got for £2 from my local tip shop. Put some cardboard inserts in and it holds exactly 30 N-Gauge wagons. 24 long ones and 6 short ones. So that's I'm quite pleased with that. Given that I saw somebody selling something similar for 50 quid on eBay. And don't get me started on eBay at the moment. So there we go. Another project, but hopefully something for people to be interested in. And we'll be back with more videos soon. As always, thank you for watching and commenting. Do spread the word of what Budget Model Railways is trying to do. We're getting a lot of people now in these difficult times realising that railways can be done on a budget. And that's what we do. We do what it says on the tin. So thank you very much to everybody for your support, and I'll speak to you again soon.